Now,
Winter on.
we're going to jump into the next session, but before we do that, I want to just bring out DT, our Head of Member Success. So DT is our Head of Member Success, as I said, and we have over 1,000 clients that work with us. And the next session is top portfolio structures for beginner, intermediate, and advanced. But DT's got such a good insight, I guess, of like working with all of our folks about their challenges and things they're currently working through. Mate, what are people coming to? Bull market's kicking off. Like, what are people sort of talking about right now?
It's all about confidence, right? And a lot of these beginner investors just are lacking in that confidence. So, structuring that portfolio, understanding what opportunities are coming, the narratives within the market, also what's happening outside of crypto, like the macro factors that are affecting the price of Bitcoin and crypto in general. And obviously that exit strategy, right? As we get closer to the top of the bull, like when do we sell? How do we sell? Why do we sell? And that's a really big question on the minds of all these new beginner investors, and also even the advanced investors that have been around for previous cycles. They're just really wanting to not stuff it up this time around, and just gaining those insights and having that confidence to do that. That's, I guess, what we do at Collective Shoes really help them.
And you see new money come in, like in terms of, like, we've obviously been around for 4 or 5 years. Like, a lot of the folks that come to us as second cyclers, third cyclers, are you seeing fresh money coming in going, hey, we've got 100K, what the hell do I do?
Absolutely. So we've got a bunch of old money coming in, like guys that have invested in older asset classes that have made a bunch of money, business owners, doctors, entrepreneurs, coming in with fresh money, wanting to go, not knowing how to navigate, and really just needing that assistance, that guidance on how to really understand the market and how to really deploy their funds in a really strategic way.
Legend, mate. That's fantastic. Well, that was a bit of a warm-up as to what's next. So we've got 4 epic speakers right up next. Top portfolio structures, beginner, intermediate, and advanced. We've got Tracey coming back on. We've got Nicole, my friend from Malaysia, who's ran one of the top NFT projects, an OG Bitcoiner. Simon's coming back on, and then also Jake Boyle, who heads up Caleb & Brown, Australia's biggest crypto brokerage. So we'll be back very, very shortly. Righto, we're back. I'm super pumped for this next one. As I just mentioned, we're going to be going through the beginner, intermediate, and advanced portfolios, and what a lineup we have. Some of the best in the business, all different skill sets, different businesses that's going to give you the best insights, whether it's your first cycle, second cycle, third cycle. We've got Matt today. We've also got Tracey Plowman is coming back. Nicole Yap, as I mentioned. We've got Simon as well. Plus, we've got Jake Boyle from Caleb & Brown. So these guys are going to be epic. And I just want to say, guys, no pressure. We're up to the highest concurrent viewership. We're at, where are you? Here you are. 1,400 people I've just heard listening into this. So let's absolutely crush it. I'm super excited. Hand it over. All yours, Matty.
Lovely. Thank you, Ben. Yes, as you said, we've got the equal largest panel for today. So the more opinions, the better, especially when you got the high caliber of speakers here, as Ben just mentioned. We've got a lot to get into, and we'll also have some question time as well with the audience. So I'll skip over the intros for a bit. I know Tracey has been here, Simon has been here as well. So I suppose I'll just hand over Nicole as well for a brief introduction, followed by that, Jake, we'll hand it over to you, and then we'll get into it. So Nicole, just tell the audience a bit about yourself.
Hi guys, I'm Nicole, and I'm the co-founder of Action. So Action has been around for many years now. It's about 3 years. So we started off as an NFT project, and back then we were like at top 10 at OpenSea, we're trending. And how we sold out was because a really famous DJ, Steve Aoki, bought in, and that's where it started. Like the whole, everything else was just crazy. And then ever since, I've always been in the space. And right now we have moved to having our own magazine. So it's called Action Magazine. And we just did a an actual launch in Korea, New York, and even last month it was in Lisbon for the conjunction of AEST. So right now, our magazine is focusing on all things Web3, and we're targeting to go on shelves in Malaysia and Singapore by next year.
Lovely, thanks. And Jake.
Hey guys, my name is Jake Boyle. I'm one of the directors at Caleb & Brown. We started Caleb & Brown in 2016. We're a white glove brokerage solution. So think of a traditional brokerage, which you might have in real estate or commodities. We wanted to utilize that business model for the nascent and ever-changing asset class of cryptocurrency. So we're a Melbourne-based business with operations all around the world, and we service over 40,000 high net worth clients who regularly buy, sell, and swap cryptocurrencies.
Amazing. Thanks for that, Jake. And yeah, getting into today's session, we'll be covering, as the title implies there, all range of portfolio structures heading into next year. Of course, the bull market is well underway, but the consensus view is next year will be an exciting year for the market. So looking forward to getting into different sort of experience levels and I guess levels of sophistication in this discussion here. But I'll kick things off with Tracey, mainly because you've been at the front lines of retail investors for quite a while now with Bamboo, and you've got just such great insight into what people are demanding, how people are, the challenges people are having with crypto and the opportunities people are going after. But I still personally get into a lot of conversations where crypto is put into the too hard basket. So I'm just wondering how you approach, people who are interested in getting involved in this space. How do you break down the level of, I guess, sophistication or experience levels in terms of portfolio structures? Because, just finally, I just hear people just thinking it's way too complicated in their head. They see thousands of cryptocurrencies out there, and then they just put it in the too hard basket. So I would love some of your insights on how you break down these three sort of tiers.
Yeah, okay, that's a pretty loaded question. But yeah, look, you're absolutely right. Crypto can feel completely overwhelming for a lot of people. And I think the key is to break it down and starting with simplicity and then scaling up based on what someone's comfort level is. And I like to think of it this way. We've got maybe a beginner's portfolio, and that's, I think we want to keep that simple and safe foremost, and maybe even for the Bamboo app for a bit of a plug. But this is for someone who's a first-time investor, and they're usually focused on the more established assets like Bitcoin or Ethereum, and we see those as the blue chips in crypto. So, and you want to look at maybe like Bamboo, auto investing into those. So those, something that you can maybe have a strategy where you set and forget, and that's obviously a low barrier to entry. And then maybe if we look at more of an intermediate portfolio, so someone who's more comfortable with maybe adding a little bit of diversity and maybe branching out into some altcoins, and maybe exploring some other asset classes, perhaps stable coins or some yielding opportunities. And then I think lastly, we'd be looking at people who would be wanting to go for more of an advanced portfolio and this is more for your seasoned investors. And this is where you'd probably go into your more complex strategies and things like DeFi, NFTs, and you'd really need to actively manage those portfolios because those have the more diverse assets, and they take a lot more time and research, and you need tools to actively manage those. So you're really looking at three completely different structures there. And where we sit with Bamboo and the people that I'm talking to on the daily, you're really looking at that beginner portfolio, and they want to keep it really simple and safe. And, when I start to talk about meme coins, that's going, probably way over their heads, I guess.
Yeah, thanks for breaking that down. And I think that is ultimately, the most important role is in terms of the beginners, like trying to, frame it in a way that's not too intimidating. So, the work you've been doing over there at Bamboo is invaluable. And yeah, people, if you're getting involved in the space, go check it out for sure. Nicole, I will switch over to you. Tracey did just touch on NFTs and meme coins in her answer there. And yeah, being in the space since 2017, they had always been around those two sort of sectors. But absolutely, now here we are, November 2024 or December even, and we have these two areas as such a massive part of the everyday sort of just crypto conversations and just a larger percentage of the market these days. Do you think like this has like a meaningful impact on like overall people's portfolio structures you've seen over the journey? And do you see these NFTs and meme coins like continuing to grow like into 2025 if the bull market sort of continues?
Yeah, so I would say, we have all seen it, right? Like the last 2 weeks, you have all your friends that are not in crypto coming to you and be like, hey, Nicole, is it too late to enter? Like, how can I make that 10x? Like, I saw this coin pump like 1,000x. So I would say that a lot of Web2 people, they would want to make money. And then the first thing that they would want to see is that that exponential growth of their portfolio. So they would look into meme coins, definitely, because they would think that, oh, Ethereum or Bitcoin, it would probably take me months to make that money. So definitely they will look into that. And this is why the past 2 weeks, I have taught so many people on how to create their first phantom wallet, right? And then they were buying peanut or like buying like, frog or like, just some random things. And there was one like yesterday, it's like, there's this coin like granny or something, just some random things. But I told them, I said that, you guys got to come down because all these things, like all of them are just pumps and dumps, right? So it's all about the timing. So I do see this trend, still happening, especially in the next year. And you saw the news yesterday. Donald Trump just, he got Paul Atkins as the chair of SEC, and then as the chairman of SEC, and he is like super bullish on crypto. So I think this is like the start of something big. As for NFTs, I would say that a lot of people would go into NFTs because it's actually a really great way, especially for beginners, to jump into a community that would accept you. Like if you have, let's say, an ape, or even if you're not from the same country, you could connect at the same frequency of someone that has an ape. And you could ask like, hey, do you guys have any alphas? What coins to buy? Because there's even this hashtag ape follow ape, right? In a sense where like ape family and everything else. So it's the fastest and the easiest way to join a community. And everyone there is just so loving. Everyone treats you as family. So NFTs, I think NFTs and meme coin comes in hand in hand. Like you would get the alphas from all your NFTs community for you to make money together in meme coins. But this is only for people that wants to gamble their portfolio and want to have the exposure of high risk, or even they just want to like feel like good vibes, right? They just want to talk to people that understand the market, want to get insights of what's happening, discuss on the future trends. But I would say there's also a lot of trends. Like right now, I've been studying a lot of DeSci. So I was in DEF CON 3 weeks ago, I think, and then people were talking about DeSci, and then all of my NFT community started talking about it, right? So you wouldn't have this kind of alphas without being a part of like NFT communities, because there are a lot of like random like Telegram group chats that you can enter that has really good alpha, but a lot of them are kind of like spammed with bots, like 80% of them.
Of course.
So I would say that a lot of people would actually look into jumping into like NFT communities.
Yeah, sure. I've certainly seen a resurgence in recent weeks. And then, to your last point there, NFTs themselves can provide a launchpad in a sense of learning about other areas in the crypto space, and, DeSci or decentralized science being one of the many sort of terms or sectors, if you will, that have been thrown around and are expected to do, move on to higher things in 2025. I think the longevity of those is still in question, but I think that is one benefit of NFTs for sure. But beyond the financial side of things, the actual connections you can make with other people who have similar interests to you. But yeah, of course, as you said, they are on the extreme end of the risk spectrum in what is already a very risky asset class. So to Tracey's point, like, when I'm sort of telling people about the crypto space, I don't even personally mention NFTs or meme coins. I just think overall it just confuses them way too much. And I think just starting off with Bitcoin and then taking it from there is what I found to be a really good approach. And hey, even going into 2025, if a beginner portfolio or someone was getting interested in the space, I personally would have no issues just telling them to start with Bitcoin, regardless of if it's in a bull market. But again, everyone's there to make their own decisions as well. But I'll hand it over to, before going over to Simon, I just wanted to like touch base on, just a bit of an insight from all of you. You have been tapped into the market for quite a while. So Jake, I'll start with you, but I would like just a short answer from all of you, if possible. But when it comes to structuring your crypto portfolio, what is like one mistake you can think of, or what you have sort of learned from over the years? So Jake, kicking things off.
I'd say that one of the biggest mistakes that I've seen, and I've also experienced myself as a crypto investor, is being emotionally tied to narratives. So, we've used some examples before of whether it's NFTs or whether it's certain crypto projects. If you're someone who was investing on the ETH killer narrative of 2017 and you were holding Cardano and EOS, if you're still holding Cardano and EOS today, you're probably not going to be overly happy because you've missed Solana as an example. Or if you're someone who thought that Bitcoin Cash was the original vision of Satoshi Nakamoto, then you've missed out on a lot of the gains that Bitcoin has made. We see it time and time again when new narratives emerge, but the mind share that narrative can absorb on Twitter and the likes of retail investors is very short-lived. So being able to get in and out of those is probably one of my best pieces of advice.
Nice. Thanks, Jake. Simon, any insights there?
Yeah, for sure. This is probably both personal and from working with clients over the time, is whether you're beginner, intermediate, or advanced. If you don't have a goal in mind, then you're never going anywhere. Basically in crypto, if you just are buying and just waiting and hoping to see what happens, then you're really just gambling. And that's kind of the big difference, I think, for most people, is that if you're building a portfolio and you're going to call it a portfolio, you really need to have a goal in mind of where it's going to go to. And then you can build your portfolio underneath that. How many X does this one get till I can sell some of it? And do I think it can do that? How can I build my portfolio to actually achieve that goal? And to me, that's the real difference between someone who is just gambling in the space and someone who is actually being an investor in the space. Having that goal is really critical, I think.
Well said there, Simon. Tracey.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. That's probably one of my biggest learnings, is not actually sticking to my original plan or investment thesis. I think, I'd structure my portfolio with a clear goal in mind, and then I get caught up in the noise of the market, making knee-jerk reactions, to sudden price movements or getting hyped up about altcoins, and that throws my whole portfolio off course. What I've realized is the best approach is to stay disciplined and align to your goals. I think that's probably my biggest learning.
Lovely, thanks. And Nicole, any mistakes you've sort of made in the past with sort of crypto portfolio structures?
Yeah, 100%. So I would say that I always, the term like buy low, sell high, although it seems like everyone understands this term, but not everyone can practice it. I do believe that, having the discipline is really important. Like, for instance, yesterday, Binance hit like all-time high, almost $800, BNB. And I have been super bullish of, BNB since the beginning, although like people do have different, views of that. And, when CZ went to like, prison and all that, like I was actually buying more, and people was like, that's such a dumb move. It's a centralized exchange, blah, blah, blah. But I always stick to my principle because I believe in the founder, I believe in the project. So this applies to all of the coins or whatever that you guys are studying. Like even XRP, they were going through that legal case there. Everybody was like, oh, it's due. But people that believed it, they just held, right? They just held all the way. And then now you can see them like making their gains. So I would say that, stick to that principle. And in terms of the meme coins that I've shared, like I would only recommend to only invest in the money that you're willing to lose for meme coin. It's just for fun. If so happen you make 10x, 100x, that's good. But if it doesn't, then just like let it go. I would say that I only invest probably like 5 to 10% of my portfolio in meme coins. But yeah, that would be my advice.
Yeah, well said. No, all excellent answers there. Very, very clippable, to be honest. They might be going out on socials. All of you did a great job there. But Simon, we just heard an excellent panel on all things Ethereum just prior to this. Some great insights there. Of course, ETH has been a big underperformer in 2024, being one of the stories of the year. Solana has sort of reverted to the mean and caught back up to the pack, and Bitcoin, of course, has done extremely well. Bitcoin dominance was at sort of 4-year highs a few weeks ago. Really, in 2025, like what is your outlook in terms of ETH in particular? Because a lot of audience members I know would have that as part of their portfolio.
Yeah, look, hindsight's a wonderful thing, isn't it? And so everyone is wondering why their bags aren't pumping in many ways when it comes to ETH. And so clearly, it would have been an amazing trade a year, 2 years ago to trade your ETH for Bitcoin or Solana. But that's hindsight. Like at that time, and I'll give you, before I give the projection out, I guess, of what I think 2025 will be, I might go back to my personal journey on that one, because you can only plan for where you're at any given stage. So, halfway through last year, I had half my bags in Ethereum, half my bags in Solana, basically. Ethereum being a far lower risk play in my mind. Solana was probably still considered a medium risk at that point in time, but I kind of weighed them evenly because I thought, well, the lower risk, slightly lower return seemed worthwhile with Ethereum. Solana, higher risk, but a much higher return. And then come, October last year, Bitcoin and Solana started moving, Ethereum not so much, and they really moved. And so that's when Solana went from that $20 to that $100 range. And so basically already 5x'd. And in that point in time, I went and reassessed my portfolio. And I'm going, well, I'm very heavy ETH, which hasn't done much. I'm very heavy Sol, which has done a lot. Where do I think I am in the scale of things? And so I reassessed basically the risk of Solana at that point in time. So Solana had meme coins going crazy. It had all the attention on it. It had its Solana phone, which the original Solana phone, everyone thought was a complete bust. But then all of a sudden, the bonk airdrop from it made everyone go bananas for it. And then they launched Solana 2 phone. So they had Solana 1 phone, which from a tech perspective, everyone said was a rubbish phone. They launched a Solana 2 phone, no information about whatsoever. And they sold like hundreds of thousands of these units. That was attention. That was huge focus on it. So at that point in time, in like February of this year, I've gone, Solana's de-risked in my mind. The reward's gone down because it's already 5x. But in my mind, at that point in time, I thought, well, Ethereum versus Solana, I thought they were at the same level of risk, but I still thought Solana had more reward in it. So that's when I actually moved over my portfolio, or half of my portfolio of ETH into Sol. And that's not to say like how good am I as a trader, but that's more to say that was the analysis I did at that time. So let's bring it to now, because we can only make decisions on now. We can't change the past. We can only change the right now. So we're looking at Ethereum versus Bitcoin versus Solana. Where are they going right now? So Bitcoin's obviously moved a lot. And you've got to think it's obviously always been the low risk play. Is it going to double from here? Probably not. So very low risk in crypto terms, somewhat low reward. What about Solana? Where is Solana at? Very low risk in my mind right now as well. What's it going to do from here? Is it going to do another 5x from here? I very much doubt that. It could maybe 2x, maybe 3x at the most. So pretty low risk. And then we've still got Ethereum, which has underperformed, but on so many metrics, it's still doing really well. It's got all the TVL. I mean, if you listen to that last chat, you'll know all about the great things Ethereum has going for it. So it is a low risk play, which hasn't had many reward. And in my mind right now, I sit there, would I make that trade that I made in February this year? Probably not, because the reward on Solana or the reward on Bitcoin is not there for me. So I think that in 2025, Ethereum is right now a better play than moving that into Bitcoin and Solana, simply because it's probably got more reward in it, because we do feel it's got some catch up to do. It has underperformed, but it's still got so many metrics that make it a great project that it should, in my opinion, outperform both Solana and Bitcoin in 2025.
Yeah, certainly seeing some momentum in recent days, as you touched on there, and a lot of optimism potentially getting a staked version of the spot Ethereum ETF in the US, or in other words, allowing the likes of BlackRock and Bitwise to actually in the back end sort of have run validators and actually stake the ETH that the people around the world are putting into their Ethereum ETFs, all the while, I guess, upping the value proposition for just everyday investors to actually get a greater return. So if we do see a staking component being a part of that Ethereum ETF, I would personally expect ETH to really go on a strong run of outperformance in particular. But Jake, speaking of the US, that is an area that Caleb & Brown has had a lot to do with, and is one of your biggest sort of areas that you have your client base, obviously homegrown here in Australia as well. A lot of Australian clients. From your experience and the team there at Caleb & Brown, I'm just interested to hear you share any observations you've noticed over the years in terms of portfolio structure, any significant sort of shifts in like composition over the years, and maybe in particular something that's happened more recently in 2024, if you could.
For sure. So we've been around we started in 2016. So we went through the 2017 rally where we saw a lot of growth, the humbling experience of 2018, and then rinse and repeat in 2021. And now it looks like we're doing it for a third time around. I would say that the very common theme is Bitcoin accumulation amongst our client base is very heavy during the bear market. Once Bitcoin starts reaching that peak dominance, which it's starting to see around now, if history repeats itself, a lot of that money does start to pivot into risk on altcoins. That's the narrative that we see throughout the majority of our client base. Although in saying that, the most traded token, which may not be a surprise for anyone listening, of the last 2 weeks has been XRP by far. All of our clients who have taken out, the majority of our 7-figure gains that clients have taken out this year, I would say the majority have been XRP, Stellar, and HBAR. All of the 8-figure gains we've seen taken off the table so far this year via limit order, stop limit, you name it, they've all been in XRP. So whilst the majority of our clients follows the kind of the typical trend of accumulating Bitcoin, then rolling into alts when Bitcoin starts to top out and absorbs most of the market's dominance, that's probably very common. Everyone's kind of heard that before. In saying that, the biggest wins we've had have actually been from very high conviction plays on very specific altcoins, which obviously exposes you to a lot more risk. But if you have that strong conviction, Nicole was mentioning it with BNB earlier, you actually can absorb significant upside. So, kudos to the clients who have taken out ginormous gains through doing that. But the majority of our clients are still Bitcoin heavy, I would say.
Great. Thanks for sharing there. And yeah, well done to those taking profits. It's great to hear no round tripping happening for those particular clients there. A reminder to get your questions in. So there's a QR code down the bottom left of your screen, which you can scan and submit through Slido. So some questions for any of our speakers about portfolio structures heading into 2025. And if I could just get the questions coming up on the screen down here as well. But really, I think, Jake, you did touch on that, the whole debate of concentration versus diversification in a crypto-specific portfolio. There's a lot of talk about Bitcoin being a component of a diversified sort of broader portfolio, but when you're just talking about the crypto space, I personally have ebbed and flowed on this over the years, but I'd be interested, Jake, in your opinion on really what role diversification plays when we're talking about even looking into 2025. Like, do you have any personal opinions on, whether someone should go for a more diversified portfolio heading into next year or a more concentrated?
I think the bottom line really goes back to what Simon was saying earlier about you must have a plan. And if you fail to have any plan whatsoever, then you're just leaving yourself vulnerable to the market conditions. And it really is just gambling. So look, I think a lot of people view the market as Bitcoin and then altcoins. And then altcoins, a lot of people view inclusive of Ethereum and Solana. A lot of people would withdraw Ethereum and Solana and probably isolate them in a different category of risk. Personally, I would, but a lot of our clients, may have different approaches there. But I think that ultimately diversification in cryptocurrency throughout the altcoin sector is not necessarily the greatest idea. In the last 30 days of the top 100 on CoinGecko, CoinMarketCap, every single cryptocurrency is up at least 20%. If we have some colossal black swan event, geopolitical warfare, or whatever the case may be, everything's going to go down. If Bitcoin has a 10% candle down tomorrow, I'm certain everything else is equal to or greater than a 10% candle too. So with that being said, diversification can dilute your portfolio, make it harder to manage. It means that the upside of a specific coin is less impactful because it's less of your portfolio and it becomes negligible. It can also mean that the downside of a specific coin, if it goes to zero, can also be negligible because it's a small part of your portfolio. And I think that can, at mass, if it's 10 or more tokens in particular, it can encourage a lot of bad practices. That's my 2 cents.
Nice, thanks on that. And I think, yeah, Tracey, you were even alluding to earlier in terms of, people just spraying themselves too thin, I suppose, with so many altcoins and chasing a lot of narratives. Even Nicole, you alluded to it earlier with DeSci and people. That's a great element of NFT community sharing alpha, but it can, of course, induce a lot of FOMO. So I think it really just ties it in ultimately to Simon's point about having an actual strategy will help you, I guess, have the blinkers on in a way and actually know what your goals are and what you can say no to in the sense when things are running really hard there. But we have got some questions coming in. The one from Andrew, thank you for submitting this one, Andrew. Is your crypto strategy different between your personal portfolio and within an SMSF structure, sort of if you do have both? Simon, I'll hand this one over to you because you've done a lot of work with sort of strategy and planning and whatnot. Any insights here?
Yes, because I do have both. So I do have a self-managed super fund with crypto in it, and obviously I have my own personal crypto. And so the way I look at my self-managed super fund, it is entirely different because I'm nowhere near as active in it. So I can't access that super for so long. So what do I put in there? I've just got Bitcoin in there because it's out of sight, out of mind. And like majority of people who have a self-managed super fund or any retirement fund, as they're called in other countries, nobody really knows what's going on in them. They just exist in the background, hoping they're going to make money for the future. And so that's how I'm treating my self-managed super fund, by having Bitcoin in it only. It's there. I don't even think about it. It's, I guess a retirement fund is exactly what it is. So I don't do anything with it. Whereas my personal fund, obviously, I am far more active. I'm going out on the risk curve with different coins. So entirely different perspective in my mind because it is a super fund. It's there for decades in the future. What's going to be there decades in the future? In my mind, I can only guarantee Bitcoin.
Great, thanks for that one. And Jim, Tracey, I'll give this one to you. So from Jim here, thanks for submitting this question. Jim's asking, in 2025, should I invest in broader range of narratives in my portfolio, or should I actually just focus on a few narratives? So similar to what we were talking about earlier, but Tracey, I just love your way to approach this.
Yeah, look, I think the easiest way to answer that is ultimately your portfolio should align with your risk tolerance, I guess, weighted so that you're not losing sleep over every price movement and you're still positioned to capture some kind of growth because, this is an ever-evolving, fast-paced landscape. So, you want that diversification and you want something that gives you balance, but at the same time, you want to know your risk tolerance. You don't want to be checking your phone at midnight. So, yeah, hope that answers the question.
Lovely, thanks for that one. We got an anonymous question here, which I can read about half of. So if we could just maybe just cancel the ones, thank you. Traditional sort of Bitcoin and ETH structure, are they even still relevant these days? With the rise of Solana entering sort of a new status and now being considered a major, do you think the days of sort of just a BTC and ETH structure for a portfolio, those days are over? Nicole, have you got any insights here?
No, definitely. I would say that Bitcoin will and always be the king. If you look at the price movement, everyone, everyone looks up to Bitcoin chart first. Like, how most of the time the bull market, it will start from BTC, and later on you would look at the larger market cap and then the medium one and then the low market cap, and then you would see that it kind of starts like that. So if you are fast enough, if you are like a trader, most of the time once BTC has like a long candle, you would go to the mid cap and the small cap, which is not pumped yet, and that's where you start your trade. So people would say that it's so crazy because when I first found out about Bitcoin, it was only it was $80 back then when I found out about Bitcoin. This was when I was still in high school. So back then I was like, this is overpriced because a coin should be less than $1, right? This is $80. It's so overpriced. And then when it hit $100, we were like, yeah, that's it. It's not going to go any further because $100 it's too much. And then later on, it went to 1,000. Then it went to 8,000. It went to 25,000. And then a lot of people are always saying, "Oh yeah, it's overinflated. It's too expensive. It's not going to go up." Right now, I would say that 100K easy. It's like 200K easy. Like even like 1 million. 10 years from now, 5 years from now, you will never know, because there is a limited quantities of it, not like the other coins. So this is why I would say that for long-term investors, I do agree with Simon and Jake. Like Bitcoin is always, the safest way, and also it's also true that sometimes when you invest in all the meme coins or the smaller market caps, the price would actually go up and down. And sometimes when you don't have that emotional kind of stability yet, you would check your price of the chart of your portfolio like every day, every hour, every 5 minutes. And actually that's not good for your mental health as well. So we want to promote a way where we can still be keep our sanity and also be in crypto. So yeah, I would say that the safest way is to buy BTC, Ethereum, like all the larger market caps. I think that would be the safest way. Yeah.
Yeah, certainly. Well said. And just because that is a beginner, portfolio, the one that is widely so recommended, those three, or even just Bitcoin and ETH, ultimately your decision. That's not to say that those three in particular, or any of those three or combination, doesn't have a place in intermediate or advanced. Like I can't stress that enough. You'd be surprised how many, there's probably a lot of you speaking or watching here that maybe don't hold any of those three majors and are entirely exposed to meme coins or high risk altcoins. And I suppose so long as you are aware of the risks, and it aligns with your goals, then hey, that's great. But yeah, just because it feels like you're getting more sophisticated in your asset selection, that can come across and make you feel like that's an advanced strategy. But don't, of course, lose sight of the fact that those majors do have a place, in my opinion, in every crypto portfolio. But we'll wrap things up here with, Jake, there's a good question here that I think you'd be really well suited to answer. A thoughts here from an anonymous, so thanks for the question. Thoughts on holding your portfolio, the assets in your, or cryptocurrencies in your portfolio. What are your opinions on holding them with a custody, with an exchange or a broker versus like self-custody, or is there a way to do it where you combine both?
That's a really good question. So what we always say to clients, because we get asked this question probably more than anything else, if you are really confident in using a hardware wallet or whatever the case may be, don't fix what isn't broken. If you know how to use it, you've tested it, and you have that confidence and you're understanding what you're doing, then absolutely go for it. And we'll just make sure we test their wallet out and go through processes to verify everything. Now, I would say maybe 40 to 50% of our customers hold all of their coins, at least a large portion of their coins, with Caleb and Brown. But we have a custody team. We have an operations and a risk team. We partner with Fireblocks. We're a very well capitalized organization that's existed for a long time. As a result of that, we can give that quality assurance to customers. We also don't charge custody fees. So I think that if you're using a third-party custodian and they're charging you a fee and you are confident in using a hardware wallet, then that might answer the question for you. If there's no deposit or withdrawal costs, which a lot of services, including our own, have, then it means that you can actually mix and match and just, as time goes on and as you learn more about the market, make that decision. So some clients hold their Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Solana in their own wallet, and they take full custody over that. They use vaults, you name it. And we're really happy for them, and it's working great. But they might say, hey, Jake, I want to purchase SUI and I want to purchase Theta Fuel or whatever the token may be, and they're much more difficult to set up the web wallets and things like that. They're not looking to hold it for too many years. So they say, you know what, I'm going to hold that with Caleb and Brown, where I have that quality assurance and the 24/7 personalized service. So bottom line is, if it works for you and you're super confident, don't fix what isn't broken, but use custodians that are well vetted, that have existed for long periods of time, with the reviews and the recommendations that get you there.
Lovely. Thanks for that one, Jake. And just as we wrap up here, I think on the advanced side, I think of this, heading into 2025 advanced side of portfolios, I would just reiterate, just if you are to go a lot deeper into the weeds, I think you also need to pay attention to, or note that will also take a lot more time and mental capacity and energy. So just consider that if you are full-time working, have families and whatnot, other commitments, just have that in mind. But yeah, for me and a lot of the other analysts here, we do have a lot more, sophisticated sectors and new altcoins that we're into and whatnot. A few of them are being touched on in our afternoon sessions in the AI space in particular. But yeah, just keep that in mind. Keep in mind your overall goals, lifestyle decisions, and if they align. And if there's pressure on all these new areas coming around, just go back to your plan, and that will give you the answers you need. But yeah, thanks so much for the time here. Tracey from Bamboo, Nicole from Action, Jake from Caleb and Brown, and of course Simon from Collective Shift. They're all right as well. But I'll hand it back to Ben, and thanks everyone for your time.
Thanks so much, guys. That was absolutely epic. Another quick shout out to everyone. That was an awesome panel. I really appreciate you all coming on. And yeah, make sure to follow these guys on socials. Check out Caleb Brown, check out Action, and check out Bamboo as always. Thank you, folks. It was epic. Appreciate it.